Heyo, it's Omnidog here. Thank you for tuning in to this overview and review of Once and Future by Kieran Gillen, Dan Mora, and I'm happy to see the colorist's name on the front, Tamra Bonvillain. And we will get into the lettering once we open this up. And this book two has been one of my most anticipated books of this year, so I'm very happy to go over this with you. And as usual, you can get these books at organicpricebooks.com, $2 off with code Omnidog, 5% shipping 4 more books together with code OmnidogSit. And let's take a look at size comparison first. These books are oversized. They're not quite Remender size, but as you can see here, this with a trade paperback, they're nicely oversized from Boom Studios. And now I got the slip cases, but I believe there's a version that's cheaper, non-slip case. I had to get volume 2 in slipcase because I got volume 1 in slipcase, So you can save money by not getting the slipcases, although they are really boss. Let's take a look inside the first book, Once and Future Deluxe Edition, Book 1 from Boom Studios. Once and Future deals with the Arthurian legend. So if you are familiar at all with Camelot and King Arthur and his round table, that's really all you need to know. Letters by Ed Dukeshire, and the lettering has become more important to me as I do more and more of these reviews and overviews. I realize how important lettering is. So you are okay. This is Kieran Gillen, Dan Mora. Dan Mora's art is just remarkable. How he can keep doing so much good art so quickly, I don't know. He's doing a great job on World's Finest by Mark Waid and DC. And then he can do these books. He's, I think, one of the best out there right now. There are just a few main characters that you need to pay attention to. And there are a lot of characters, but this is also a story where there are subplots that sort of go along and then they are finally pulled together at certain points. So you really only need to know, this is Mary. She undergoes identity changes, but she's the woman who puts this in motion. And Bridget, the grandmother, who's in an old folks' home, and Duncan and Rose. First date, Duncan's the grandson of Bridget. And Rose, this is a first date that goes disastrous to start with, but Gran calls him because Gran is a monster hunter and needs Duncan to help her because the spirit of King Arthur is being raised. Initially, this is the questing beast, so there's monster. This is a fantasy monster, legendary, leans into the supernatural, and it's so up my alley. And I don't want to overhype this. My friend Barr got it overhyped, and she was kind of underwhelmed with book 1, and I get it. That's the same thing happened with my friend Lou, who got overhyped on the TV show Wednesday. It got so overhyped he couldn't enjoy it, which I realize is one benefit of my not going on any social media. Nothing gets hyped, so I can enjoy things. As you can see, there's not much gutter loss here at the beginning or in the middle, so that's nice. The binding is, let's take a look at this binding. There, very nice. There's no ribbon, that's okay. And Duncan is a complete innocent in this. He had no idea his grandmother was a monster fighter. And they are trying, it starts with some skinheads trying to raise the spirit of King Arthur because they want England back to themselves. And this is the beginning of the process. It's very easy to read. There are other, let me finish my point. they want King Arthur back because King Arthur, and this is Mary here, King Arthur, once he comes back, they raise the spirit of King Arthur. He wants England for Anglos only. No Anglo-Saxons. If you have a drop of Saxon blood, he wants you to kill you. And of course, that was the skinhead angle. They wanted England back. Racism, it may be the start of the book, but it becomes much more than that, where they want Arthur back because they want to, well, maybe it's an underlying thing. They definitely want England back for like the purely Anglican, which is a problem because England's a big melting pot, and getting it back to Anglican blood, here is King Arthur getting raised from the dead. Sounds like Welsh. He's actually, and this plays into it, because the original King Arthur apparently is a tale told and set in Wales, or that's where the original legend came from. So they want King Arthur brought back to make England for Anglicans only. This creates problems, of course, later on, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. So Duncan and his grandmother have now been pressed into service to try to keep Arthur from taking over England, because, as I said, it's going to be a problem when King Arthur manifests and decides he wants it only for those pure of blood. It actually ends up, I love this when they do this. It's like where the areas between reality and the other world, where the areas are thin. And so they punch through it. And this book has a lot of characters in it, but you just really need to know those main characters that I told you. But also, Merlin is in this book. Merlin comes back. Sir Lancelot comes back. Guinevere comes back. But Lancelot and Galahad and Guinevere, they come back as competing legends. Because the Arthurian legend has been told over and over again over the years, some things have been added to it, and these are literal stories that are coming to life. So there are competing Arthurs that come to life. And it makes for a really wonderful book. You also get Beowulf and Grendel coming in. They are getting raised because these stories have power. Of course, they're looking for the Grail, and they're looking for Excalibur, and they find these things, but the story doesn't end there. It helps to propel the story forward. And look at the colors, and look at the art here. Look at the beautiful lettering. And look at this. This is when Lady in the Lake gives Duncan the sword. Now Rose, who, as we go through the book, ends up being his girlfriend, because this lasts a long time. This book goes over a long period of time. She is, I'm guessing she's Pakistani. She is, and she makes a comment in it later on how it wasn't easy growing up brown in an all-white neighborhood. So race definitely plays a part in this, but it doesn't overwhelm. It doesn't overwhelm the story, but it definitely is playing a part in it. It doesn't thwack you over the head, but it also is the impetus for the story. The magic and the fantasy is what happens along the way as they battle to keep various Arthurs who have come to life from taking over England. And Grendel and they end up, there's dragons. Grendel and Beowulf end up being used by various parties as they're raised up from the dead. They end up using, they're used by whoever can manipulate them into doing their bidding. And sometimes Gran and Duncan and Rose can get them to do their bidding. And Rose has a bit of magic in her too, as she can sort of scry with pushpins in maps and find out where these events are happening, because these events are happening all over England. And this is so well done. Kieran Gillen tells a very, here's Beowulf. Just double checking. Duncan, as I said, learns to fight as we go along. And by the second book, he is a seasoned monster hunter, and Rose is too. I don't want you to feel like there are too many characters and that it's too complex, because it's not. The way Kieran Gillen tells the story, it's very well told, and you're never at a loss for who somebody is, because everything connects together well. You don't need a scorecard. Gran uses a chainsaw at some point. And you don't need a scorecard at all. There are a lot of moving parts, but it's all told well enough that the fantasy and magical elements all weave together to show you just how everything ties together. I never felt lost at any point, which is really, I think, a sign of good storytelling and good art, because the way the artist puts it together is he's interpreting the writer's words. And here's the pushpins that Rose can use. So it's always forward moving. It's very violent. It is very violent, because these guys are playing for keeps. And this is the Green Knight who plays a part. And if you don't know who the Green Knight is, it's okay, because it's explained in there for you as to who he is, what his purpose is, why he's there, and how these stories are coming to life. So this is book one. Let's take a look at book two. I won't go too far into book two because I don't want to spoil it accidentally. Mary, it turns out, has a relationship to other characters in the book. It turns out it's very important, and you find out exactly what it is. That's a bit of a mystery, but Kieran Gillen and Dan Mora do a great job pulling it together. So this is book two, what I've been waiting for, and this is, they are now fighting fairies in this part, which I think is so great. There's all kinds of monsters, all kinds of fairy tales come to life, and it's about, this is when they go to rescue Rose's parents. I won't tell you what happens in here, but they go to rescue her parents at significant risk to everyone. Gawain and Percival are parts of the Knights of the Round Table. And all these stories come to life with competing agendas. I found this book fascinating, fast-paced, well-told. As I said, I was never lost because of how good the art and the story am. So I think you can pick it up just knowing about King Arthur, and you'll be fine. Everybody knows King Arthur. And if you don't, it's spelled out for you pretty easily, and why he's brought up and what they hope to achieve. Whoop, I don't want to show you that because I don't want you to see that. Okay, good. So take a look at this art. This book also is well constructed. No gutter loss there. No gutter loss here. Here's Guinevere. So this is, I believe, probably going to be one of my books of the year. This is how much I liked it. Now, as I said, I don't want to overhype it. If you like fantasy, supernatural, magic, stories with a purpose, this is the book for you. This is a fast-paced, fun ride, well-written, very well drawn and colored. Look at all this, very well lettered. Boom does a good job of putting this package together, and it's not that expensive. Now, let's see. The slipcase edition is $70. $70. You'll be able to get that much cheaper if you just go at an online retailer, Organic Price Books, and just get the non-slipcase version. I don't know if it's out yet. I just got the slipcase, as I said, but it's a really amazing thing that Boom can put this together for such a cheap price. They and Dark Horse and Image, all three of them, do a good job at putting their OHCs together. I know Boom has a reputation for a problem with some of their binding, but this book doesn't have it. So, yeah, this book has everything I could possibly want in it. Magic. I love magic. It's got a little bit of love story in there. It's got sassy granny. It's got twists and turns, things you didn't expect, but it all makes sense. And I really, really liked it. Not overhyping it, but I personally, Omnidog, loved it. So I hope if you want to give it a chance that you enjoy it as much as I did. And I appreciate you guys watching. Peace and love, peace and love. Be good to each other out there. Remember, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. That's right. Look for the good. These are my mantras that I'm using. And I try and remember it when I'm on the road, when somebody cuts me off, right? Okay, so sorry, got off on a sidetrack there. Thank you for watching Omnidog's Vault. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Feel free to leave a comment and discuss. I just love this book, and you will be hearing about it again at the end of the year. Unless something comes to bump it out of the top 10, I can't wait to read that book. Peace and love, peace and love. Thanks for watching, and I really appreciate all of you out there. Peace and love.